Protected by at least one S-400 air defense system and a state-of-the-art Tombstone multi-role radar, Russia's Khalino Air Base was the very definition of a hard target. But on the night of 25 November, Ukraine rained fire down on the air base and its defenses. So how was Ukraine able to pull off the strike? I'm former SEAL Team 6 Squadron Leader Chuck Pfarrer, and this is the Kyiv Post's Point of Impact.
U.S. President Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles for strikes deep inside Russia.
Just days after the U.S., U.K., and France authorized Ukraine to use Western-supplied missiles against Russian targets, Khalino would become the first airbase on Russian territory to be hit with Ukrainian ATACMS. This strike underscores the latest strategic inflection point in the war. Permission to strike Russian targets was a shift in Western policy, which at least authorized Ukraine to defend itself by preempting strategic military locations within Russia. Russia's Khalino Air Base was used to launch airstrikes against Kharkiv and Sumy, as well as conducting close air support for Russian operations in Kursk Oblast. So let's take a look at the target. Khalino Air Base is situated 7 kilometers east of the city of Kursk in Russia, and approximately 50 kilometers due north of the Ukrainian frontier. The proximity of Khalino to the Ukrainian border makes it strategically important for Russian air operations in the region. The base has a single 2,500-meter, 8,200-foot runway with several alert pads, fuel and ammo storage facilities, accommodations for aircrew, command and technical personnel, as well as air defense troops. Khalino hosts the 14th Guards Fighter Aviation Regiment, equipped with Sukhoi Su-30SM fighter bombers, which are capable of carrying out long-range FAB glide bomb attacks. Khalino has long been a priority target for Ukraine. In December of 2022, long and mid-range Ukrainian strike drones set fire to Khalino's fuel depot, base support activities, and command and control facilities. In 2023, strikes damaged aircraft, air defense systems, and again, the base's command and control personnel. Ironically, several members of Khalino's senior leadership were killed as they tried to conduct an inspection of a downed Ukraine drone. Following these attacks, Russia installed an S-400 Triumph air defense system at the base. Associated with the S-400 was one of Russia's most advanced sensor systems, the 92N-6E Tombstone multi-role radar. Vital for the operation of the S-400 in air intercept mode, the Tombstone also provides long-range, three-dimensional, phased array radar in the S-band frequency, making it highly effective in detecting aerodynamic and ballistic threats. With a maximum detection range of nearly 300 kilometers, the radar can simultaneously track up to 100 targets. Russia's proud to tell the world that this multitasking capability ensures that the S-400 can respond to multiple threats in a highly dynamic combat environment. We'll see if that's true. The Tombstone also facilitated the Russian tactic of attacking Ukrainian civilian targets. In this role, the Tombstone was used to guide S-300 and S-400 anti-aircraft missiles in ballistic trajectories to rain down on Ukrainian cities. These strikes have killed hundreds of Ukrainian civilians in Kharkiv, Sumy, and other cities. Taking out this radar was mission critical. Here's what we know about the attack, and there's a few aspects that we can guess. The attack employed U.S.-made ATACMS missiles equipped with cluster munitions. specifically the MGM-140B Block 1A missile. That deploys 950 M74 dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, cluster bombs. The warhead dispenses high-explosive, dual-purpose submunitions over a wide area. The use of cluster bombs targeted a proximate area of the airbase for maximum impact on Russian military assets. With an advanced Russian radar, alleged to be able to detect all airborne threats within 300 kilometers, how did Ukraine carry out this attack? To answer this, we'll have to make some informed speculation, based on previous attacks, battle damage, and Ukrainian standard operational procedures. This is the base. On this map, you can see the runway, the limit of the military reservation, the pads and revetments for alert aircraft, taxiways, and weapons handling facilities. The built-up areas north of the runway house technical and mechanical support areas, base administration, quarters, logistical support, and command and control. As noted are the revetments for anti-aircraft weapons and radars. It's been assessed that the base's principal defense and sensor complexes were located several kilometers to the east, here. These consisted of a single 92 N6E Tombstone multi-role radar and at least two S-400 transport, erection, and launch vehicles, each carrying 4 S-400 missile tubes. As far as the Russians were concerned, the base's infrastructure was adequately defended. The Russians knew from experience that they could expect a Ukrainian attack from the south. This is what's called a threat vector. And the Russians were vigilant. But it turns out they were also dead wrong. So how could Ukraine take on so formidable a defense? The key to Khalino was its Tombstone radar. Though it is a multi-role platform, in this case it was acting as the main sensor associated with the S-400 system protecting the base. And here is where we speculate, but based on previous Ukrainian attacks, this is likely how the Khalino hit went down. The Russians expected an attack from the south, but the first attack likely came from the north. In the hours before the hit, Ukraine launched a wave of long-range strike drones towards Khalino. These included a combination of silent platforms, like the Puma, and Brownmore C-4I, faster strike weapons, like the Skyline and AQ-400 Scythe, and decoys, like the Trembata and Topaz. The attack was meticulously planned. Ranges and flight times of each of these different types were calculated so that they could be launched at the appropriate time to converge on the target in a phased wave attack. The slowest and quietest drones were launched first, so they could cross the frontier, ingress the target area, and be the first platforms to converge on the Tombstone radar. Varying courses were plotted for each of the decoys, the slow movers and the fast movers. Decoy drones were the first to appear on Russian radars, likely to the west of the air base. This was done to divide Khalino's air defenses. As Russian attention was diverted when the strike platforms infiltrated from the east, circled around, and approached the Tombstone radar and missile systems from the north. These strike drones masked their appearance to the S-400 and Tombstone using topography as cover. They likely used the terrain, flying nap of the earth, to mask their approach as they closed in. A few minutes before the strike drones entered the target area, the ATACMS were fired on their arcing ballistic trajectories. As the ATACMS climbed to max altitude, 65 kilometers, or more than 200,000 feet above the earth, they began to plunge in on the base. That's when the strike drones arrived. The Tombstone, S-400, and other targets were engaged by the first wave of drones, which took out the radar and associated vehicles, thus blinding the S-400s. And then, later drones destroyed the missiles themselves. Khalino Air Base was now blind and defenseless as the ATACMS plunged down at 3 times the speed of sound, 2,300 miles an hour. Approximately 200 feet above the base, 4 to 6 ATACMS missiles burst, each scattering 950 cluster bombs over the target. The multiple explosions seen in this photograph taken during the attack, you can see the areas selectively targeted by the Ukrainian strike. Preliminary reports indicate that the attack destroyed at least 2 S-400 air defense systems. The destruction of the Tombstone radar was critical. Without the Tombstone radar, the S-400s could no longer conduct long-range aviation or ground strike missions. The attack also served as a psychological blow, demonstrating vulnerabilities in what Russia considered a heavily defended target. This well-planned Ukrainian strike demonstrates the evolving tactics in modern warfare, where improvisation, critical timing, deception, and precision play pivotal roles. It also reflects the ongoing willingness of Ukraine's allies to escalate military support, allowing the use of more sophisticated weaponry. Ukraine's use of ATACMS on Khalino Air Base not only signifies a tactical victory, but also marks a strategic shift in the conflict, showcasing Ukraine's enhanced offensive capabilities and the shifting dynamics of international support for the war. Hey, for the Kyiv Post, I'm Navy SEAL Chuck Pfarrer, and I'll see you again at the point of impact.